So this is a really basic tutorial, again talking about the basics of layers and classes, and also using this tool here, the Move by Points tool, which is really versatile and really powerful actually. So first thing we're going to do is to create some squares. Now I'm going to do a 500 by 500 square, and then I'm going to use the Move by Points tool. I'm going to make 4 duplicates, and this little button here, Object Retention Mode, means whether to keep the first object or not. So if I keep the initial object to 4 duplicates, I'll end up with 5, obviously. Now the first of the 3 little sub-menus here is the distance, the separation of the objects. Now I'm not measuring the gap between them. That's sometimes a mistake that people make. I'm going to define the equivalent point on the next square, so the top right hand corner of the next square. So if I do 1000 there, then it means I should have a 500 mil gap between them, if that makes sense. You should see what happens there. So the 1000 was between that and the next gap, meaning that this space between them here, center to center, is 500. That's what I wanted to do. So that was the first of the submenus. You can see the little arrow within the icon there showing you the distance between the objects, but don't get fooled and don't get trapped into thinking it's this distance that you're plotting. That's where people go wrong. I'm going to do a circle now, line it up underneath the square. Since I'm on radius, I'll do 250, and there's the circle. It's still highlighted, still selected, sorry. The second of the little sub-menus of the Move by Points tool is defining the overall distance. So this time I'm defining where the center of the last object will be, and again I'm using my smart points there to get everything lined up nicely. I've got 4 duplicates, again haven't changed anything. Object retention, bang, there we go. 5 circles. I'm going to do a couple of triangles now. So using the regular polygon tool, instead of 6 sides, I want 3 sides, and I'm using the third of the, I'm not using center to point or center to edge, I'm going to use the third, which is the edge mode, and hopefully if I crop down here and grab the other side, then it's a 500 mil there. Another thing I can do is I can duplicate that object. So I can just Command D there. I think it's edit duplicate. Yeah, Command D, edit duplicate there. And if I move that triangle to its next position, is that right? No, it looks like I got the bottom part of that wrong. Just acquiring the points here, smart points. There it is. That's better. Now, because I made the spacing I defined the spacing on the first of the duplicates, next time I press duplicate, it will remember that spacing, and I'm just doing Command D and it will continue to duplicate using the same spacing. That's 3 different ways of doing it. The last point is that, nope, I won't do that, make it slightly more easy for myself. Move this little circle here and I'll try and line it up with the bottom. So there. So this one's got knocked out and I want to put it back into alignment again. So the Move by Points tool is really useful for defining. This one here defines the kind of the space between objects. Now it's very important I remember, I can either the object which is highlighted will always move. I can either click between this point, which is the reference, and the object, or I can click between the object and the reference. It doesn't matter which way around to do it. So I'll just click between the object and the reference point there, and it tells me that the distance is 1160. I don't want it to be 1160, I want it to be 500. And Vectorworks normally is a pretty good guess, but you can see why I was pointing out the difference between the reference and the object. The first click, I clicked there, then there was the object. I got it right on this occasion, so that's fine. But if it gets it wrong, you'll need to change the little radio button there, and I'll move that back in there. So that's our objects done. I'm going to create some layers. So I clicked on the little layers tab up there, which opens up the organization palette. I'm going to do a new layer called squares. new layer called circles, and a new layer called triangles. Okay, this interestingly enough, this design layer there's got a different scale to it. I just want to make sure that always make sure all your scales are exactly the same. So I'll just change that to 1 to 1. So everything is 1 to 1 there. Okay, probably lost everything there. Zoom it. There we go. Okay, this is one of the things I wanted to talk about. So in the Layers Navigation Layers tab there, we've got Grey Snap Others. I want to just change that to Show Snap Modify Others at the moment, and I'll explain a little bit about what that is in a second. We want to put the squares into the square layer. So I'm just highlighting, and I'm in the Object Info palette. They're in the Layer Design Layer 1 at the moment. I don't want them in there, I want them in the Circles layer. So this is how you place things in layers, triangles. So that's everything now in the right layer. So I have 4 layers here, triangles, circles, squares, and Design Layer 1. I can see the other layers, snap to the other layers, and modify the other layers. The tick here is the active layer. So if I draw another object, irrelevant of what it is, that will be drawn in the active layer circles. So even though I drew a circle, even though I drew a square, it will be placed in the circles layer. So be aware which layer is active when you're drawing. Of course, I could take that and put it into the squares layer quite simply, but it would be a lot easier if I drew it in the correct layer to start with. Classes are quite useful, and I'm going to do a new class called Red, and I'm going to edit the properties after creation on this one. Very importantly, use it creation, so it means that when I assign something to that class, it will use these attributes. So I'm just using a style. You can just pen colors and thicknesses and all sorts of other things. I'm just using the color, I'm calling it red, and I'm giving it a red color. A new one called blue. Edit properties, use it creation, a blue. One more, call this one green, RGB. Oh, sorry. Red. Oh, I don't know. RGB seems good enough. There we go. So use the Y thing here is a good way of seeing quickly whether you've clicked that use it creation, and it's really, really important that you do. If I assign that square, which is in its class of none, so you can see this is my classes tab. I've got blue, dimension, and none are default classes. They'll come in and you can't get rid of them at all. Dimension, you don't want to get rid of them. Everything must exist within a class, so unless you defined it as a class, it will be in the none class. So this square there, I want to be in the blue class, and it will take on the blue color. That one will be in the green class. That one will be in the red class. So it's quite easy to assign things different classes and different layers. The eyedropper tool is great for picking up attributes. So you can see here, there's a little settings there, and I can tell it what to pick up or what not to pick up. But by default, it should pick up the blue, paint, place down blue, 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 blue. Pick up green, drop down. So it's not just putting the colours down. See that when I click on it, it's saying green, so it's taking the green class with it. So it's not just a simple colour. And red. Oops. I have to change that one back because I messed up. So back to red. Eyedropper tool. So I'm just swapping between the pick up and put down here. Pick up and put down red, 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 red. So now, my classes, I've got the show, snap, modify others as well. So now I can use this. So I want to see only red objects, for example. So I can switch off blue, dimension, green, and none, and that's all the red objects. So I'm using all the layers are on because I want to see all the objects. If I only wanted to see red triangles, then I can switch off the everything but the triangles. You'll notice there what the little tick on circles there meant that you can't switch off, you can't not see the active layer, so it's sometimes worth keeping the little tick on a layer that you're not using. So by doing this, I'll switch the objects back on again. So I only want to see blue and red objects. So it's a good little exercise to allow you to control what you want to see. Leave all these on, and I only want to see triangles irrelevant of color. Again, you can see that I can manipulate what I'm seeing in this navigation palette here quite simply. Hopefully that's a quick and easy reference as to what or how layers and classes can be used to manipulate your drawing. 11 minutes and 20 seconds, and just time for the Vectorworks pop-up. So, thank you very much. Hope that was useful.